Greetings and welcome to the Power of the Overflow.
Welcome to Healing Together, our journey from illness to wellness.
We know firsthand how isolating illness can feel, but you are not alone. Whether you're struggling with your own health or supporting a loved one through their battle, we hope our story brings you comfort, hope, and practical insights.
So grab a cup of tea or whatever you drink. Get comfortable and join us as we share our journey. If you haven't done so yet, remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Welcome to the podcast tonight. It's a beautiful spring evening in Minnesota.
Yes, it is. No snow.
The snow is gone. It's melted. Then it snowed again.
And then it melted.
It melted. Now it's about 45 degrees out. We're looking for 70 soon.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So the last time we were on, we talked about the start of Corey's health journey when she found out that she had some kidney issues. And we went in for a biopsy after 2 or 3 months of trying to treat whatever it was that we thought you had through diet and nutrition. And we finally went in for the biopsy, and we found out that you had an autoimmune disorder, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that's where we're going to pick up. So again, we originally went in, we were called into the emergency room because your kidney function was so low in March. And now we're fast forwarding to June, and that's when you went in for the biopsy and found out that you had an autoimmune disorder. So what happened from there, Corey?
So one of the things after listening to the last podcast that I forgot to even put, which was a very important part, we talked about prayer. We talked about we prayed together. We talked about how I prayed. One of the things that I forgot to share was the fivefold. I'm just going to call them that. They know who they are. Called me when they knew I had to go get my biopsy. They were like, come meet us at the church, and we are going to pray with you, over you, before you go to your biopsy.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there just for a second. You said the fivefold. Can you be a little bit more specific? Like, who are the fivefold in your life?
Okay, that is Carrie, Fanta, St. Anne, and Angela. So we have been together in church for, every time we talk about it, I'd be like, how many years? A very long time. We developed a relationship just being in church together through ministry. And from that point on, we would do different things together and spend time together. And now we travel together, we pray together. We are each other's cheerleaders. We also talk to each other about those hard topics. But the biggest thing is we get down and pray for each other.
So that is correct. They're 5 of your closest, including you.
Yeah.
4 of your closest friends, which you guys make up the fivefold. And we did talk about, maybe back in the very first podcast, about having people in your life who you can count on, you can rely on, you can talk to. You know, we all need those people to share our faith with, and people who will share their faith back with you to give you strength and encouragement. And as Corey's husband, I can attest to the fivefold. They do a lot together. They're very close. They most recently left me here in Minnesota when it was 20 below. They went on their girls' trip to Puerto Rico. It was 80 degrees there. So
yes,
they spend time with each other. They hang out together, and they strengthen each other.
Yeah, it's a sisterhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to put that part in because that was just like one of the a booster for me when we came together praying, just because at that time, again, it was the unknown and it was before the biopsy. And I think actually it was St. Anne who had said, we need to pray over you. Let's meet at the church at this time. And that's what happened.
So they prayed over you. We prayed together as a couple. We come out of the biopsy. We find out that you have an autoimmune disorder. And what changed from there?
Like you said, and last time was I was determined, okay, we know what it is. Let's hit it and get healed from it. Like that's just my mindset. Once I make my mind up, I'm going for it. Like this is what we're gonna do. And I'm going to be healed from this. And also, too, I did my own research, and I think that's just being an educator. And um, like my degree is in sociology, and as a teacher, I was a social studies teacher, so dealing with history and research. So I started to do my own research and just looking at, okay, what does this mean? Can you be healed from it? Like, what, how can you be healed from it naturally? What's going on in my body? What are the things that I need to work on? So that's kind of where my mindset was. I think another big part that we didn't share in the first one is like, right, we did share we have kids. So what we decided to do was we needed to let the kids know what was going on as far as the autoimmune disease. And so we brought them out on our porch. And this is a part where Chris doesn't really remember, but I do. We told them, okay, I have an autoimmune disease and I'm going to be healed from it, is how we put it towards them. It wasn't like, woe is me. But I just needed them to know that I was going to be healed from this. And so having kids, right, they all respond differently. I would say Ava came and gave me a hug. She was teary eyed. Aaron also just kind of looked at me teary eyed. And then Adrian just didn't say anything. And actually, all of their personalities came out when we told them that. And so, and I also told them, I was like, if you have any questions, please let me know. But again, I wanted to reiterate to them, yes, I was sick at that point, but I will be healed from this. And so they have been a part of this journey up until this point. We're transparent with them because I didn't want them to see me going through something but not know what it is. I want them to be able to see, yeah, I'm going through something. This is how we go through it, and this is how we get through it, which I think is a healthy way for kids to see instead of hiding it from them.
So, as Corey said, I really don't remember how the kids responded. And at that time, my focus was, all right, let's get started. Let's get going. And um, as far as treatment, Corey's autoimmune disorder was affecting her kidneys. And her nephrologist said, well, we have to get you on some meds. And, that was just how it was going to be. Now, if you know Corey, she wants to be off of any type of meds. She wants to be med free, and that's the goal, and that's what the future holds for her. But at that point, it was like, okay, we have to get this under control.
And
And
I struggled. I struggled being on meds because my mindset is, and what I've been taught is like, right, the body can heal itself, um, and we can use natural things to do it. And so and like everyone has their own mindset about drugs, but for me, and I would say our household, we just don't go towards drugs as the first thing. If you come into my house, you'll see all my essential oils, you'll see all of our vitamins, all of our natural things. And so that was a mental battle that I had to go through, was getting on meds. I just did not want to do it. But then someone,
but
go
then
ahead.
someone, God always answers, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to listen. You have to be able to listen. And one of our mentors and one of the strong people in our lives came to us. It was Pastor Anthony, and he said, Corey, you got to do what you got to do right now, okay? So if that means being on the meds for a little bit, you got to get your body to a place where it can start healing and functioning again. And so he said, you know what? If that's what your nephrologist is saying right now, then we got to do it. So we started that. And when Corey said she didn't want to be on meds, I just remember it seemed like there were 20 different meds that.
There were three different meds they put me on. One was for the autoimmune, one was a steroid, and the other one that I found out later was for chemo, which I didn't understand that one at all. And actually, to be honest, I took that one and it made my body so off. I had to get off it. Like, I don't care what nobody said. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I was like, my body was like, sister, you nope, this is not for you. So I just chose to stop it. And I stayed on the steroid and then also the one for the autoimmune.
So, along with the meds, the other big area to tackle was diet and nutrition because you had to get the inflammation down in your body. You had to
Yes.
get your kidneys back functioning the way
Yes.
they're meant to function. And that meant getting the inflammation out. And so that really meant no gluten, no dairy,
No nightshades,
no nightshades.
which are potatoes, which I love French fries. And yeah, I had to shift. It was a total mind shift. And I'm gonna say it wasn't easy. So I was like, "Ugh, this is all I know. I'm gonna starve. I ain't eating nothing. I'm just gonna starve and that's it. Because I want my cookies, my cupcakes, I want my gluten and my dairy.
Yes, yes.
My cheesecake from Cafe Latte.
So Corey's laughing, but this is all true. Food's important. But what I remember at that point now, we're talking about the end of June and the first part of July, was it was a struggle. It was a struggle to figure out, okay, what can I eat? What should I be eating? And this was kind of Corey's time to do her research. And I do remember her too physically at this point. She's starting the meds, everything's new in her body. And she was very thin. She had lost a lot of weight. And then on top of that, a few weeks later, we got a dog. Our youngest one, Aaron, had been asking for a dog for I don't know how many years. And Corey's former secretary had a connection. And so we got a Labradoodle. And then on top of that, about a month after the biopsy, we had a trip to Cooperstown, New York planned.
10-day trip.
It was 11.
Oh, okay.
It was 11.
And I had to figure out how to eat.
You had to figure out how to eat. We had a trip planned. Our youngest son, Aaron, plays baseball, and he had a tournament. So we loaded up our rental vehicle and made the 17-hour trip, made stops along the way. We stopped in Cleveland and Buffalo on the way there. On the way back, we stopped in Pittsburgh and South Bend, Indiana. But all this time, especially being on the road, you had to navigate that. You had to navigate, okay, what do I eat? And there's a big difference between that time 3 years ago and this time now because you've learned so much and you know what you can and cannot eat. And back then it was like, okay, I do remember you being in that mind frame like, what can I eat? Is there anything I can eat?
Yeah, your mind, when you're used to a certain lifestyle, no matter what, if it's food, where you live, what you're used to, and a major change is like, stop doing that right now and pivot and turn was a lot. Um, and thank goodness I had some knowledge about being gluten free. My biggest thing about going gluten free, I have to be careful with this. I also have a peanut allergy. And some things that are gluten free, they have almond flour or other flours. So that just I had to just figure all those things out. But I will say this: when we were in Cooperstown, there was a grocery store, and I got introduced actually before then to this product called May Goods, and it's very clean, it's gluten free, and they had a whole at the grocery store. I was like, oh look, there's some things I can eat. So I was excited, and things we couldn't find here in Minnesota, they had out in Cooperstown. So
One other thing that I remember about that was, you know, Aaron's baseball team, we were kind of a closely knit group with the team and the other families, the other parents, and obviously they all traveled out there too. And, regularly, whether we were on the road or, even during the season when we're back home here in Minnesota, we go out to eat. We have a tournament or a game and the game's over and we go out to eat. And I just remember um, some of the other parents and family members planning outings, or picking a restaurant. And then we would say, okay, what's the menu look like? Are there gluten-free options? Is Corey going to be eating here, being able to eat here? And I know some people were probably like, really? Is it that serious? Yeah.
at that time it
At that,
was.
it's
It
life
still
and death.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so, not that anybody was, ever critical or questioning, but it was just something that we always had to navigate. It couldn't just be like, hey, let's go to the tavern or let's go to this burger
McDonald's.
joint, and it's constantly navigating. And I think as we get into future podcasts too, Corey will be able to articulate what that looks like and how that's become easier for us.
Yeah. I will say another thing that was also going on during that time was we found out my mom was sick with pancreatic cancer. And so, if you ever heard that statement, when it rains, it pours, that's what it felt like. I was like, what in the world? Like, Lord, what are you doing? What is going on? And one thing I will say, I thank my brother because at the time when we found out, when I was diagnosed, I did tell him what was going on and that I needed his help with my mom. Like he took the lead. He just took the lead. He said, I got this. So I'll be forever grateful for him doing that because he sacrificed a lot with just his own family to take care of my mom while I was taking care of myself during that time. So that was a big thing. And I'll also say, too, at the time, amongst that, not quite yet, but also during the time when I was sick, Adrian's friend's mom was also diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So it was just, there was a lot going on in the beginning of my diagnosis. I mean, that I would say stretched me. And when I mean stretched, was stretching in my prayer, my faith, standing in who I am, and just being there for others and not being woe is me.
So we have Corey, who has her newly diagnosed autoimmune disorder.
Mm-hmm.
We have mom, who is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We have Adrian's, one of his best friends' mom, same thing. And then we forget too, one of my good friends
Oh, yeah. I
was
forgot about that.
also diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so this literally, all of this happened within, 2 or 3 months of each other.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. And so if we just go back a little bit, back to July, at the end of July, that's when we took our trip to Cooperstown in New York. So we come back, it's August. Corey and I are both educators. August is the time when Corey, as a principal, is starting to prepare for the new school year. Same with myself as a teacher, middle school teacher. And then about the third week of August, we get hit again.
Yes, we do. And we'll get into that at our next podcast because it was another big hit. Again, that saying, when it rains, it pours.
If you haven't done so yet, remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.